However, storage spaces in here is again still quite limited. Character of the rear suspension being overly stiff in town as well as lean a bit too much around the corners, where I wish it had a little bit more power. Mazda is a century-old car maker founded in 1920, but despite that, the Hiroshima-based car maker is still a boutique outfit with premium aspirations. Now, contrary to market feel that Mazda sales are declining, if you look at their annual sales report, Mazda sales have been steadily increasing and recovering since 2024, contributed mainly by US and North American markets. Now, this is a key metric because it explains Mazda's new generation lineup of cars such as the Mazda CX-60 that I have with me right here. But is this finally a premium car that rivals the Toyota Harrier, and is this good enough to make you look away from value-packed Chinese cars? Let's find out. My name's Adrian, I'm all about the details, and you're watching cDrive. The Mazda CX-60 is the first Mazda model in Malaysia to adopt Mazda's latest large product group rear-wheel drive platform, a platform that promises more engaging driving experience and better overall comfort for the driver and passengers. This new platform development also brought about a range of new longitudinally mounted engines, 6 cylinders, petrol, diesel, mild hybrid, plug-in hybrid, but in Malaysia we get the CX-60 in a sole 2.5-litre natural aspirated 4-cylinder petrol engine. Pricing-wise, it is 11,700 more expensive compared to the top-grade CX-5 2.5 turbo, but still a whole lot cheaper compared to the Toyota Harrier. Now, why do I compare the CX-60 against the Harrier? Because it sort of sits in the same class of a mass product Japanese model that offers a premium segment. At 200,000 ringgit, most would take the J-Coupe J8 and Omoda C9 into comparison. But here in the CX-60, you are getting quite a sizable car, 2,870mm, almost as large as the 3-row Mazda CX-8. When the CX-60 made its global debut back in 2022, early buyers and overseas media have critiqued the unnatural character of the rear suspension being overly stiff in town as well as lean a bit too much around the corners. Props to Mazda for taking a proactive approach and acknowledging its flaws and introducing a brand new suspension setup, one that is a lot more predictable, a lot more comfortable for the rear suspension in later models of the CX-60. And which also explains why Burmaz Auto took their time to introduce the CX-60 into our local market, because they wanted the best for the Malaysian buyers. So fret not, Malaysian consumers will get their CX-60 with the updated suspension, one that is stiffer, more predictable, more comfortable compared to before. Boot space opens up to 570 litres, much larger compared to the CX-5, but still smaller compared to the Omoda C9. First step into the interior and you notice a stark difference between the CX-60 with the CX-8 and 9. The look and feel, the materials used here just makes every interaction so satisfying. The CX-5, 8 and 9 has a premium executive look and feel, more business-like compared to this. This one is really premium luxury. It's more elegant in its presentation, almost Lexus level of fit and finish, quality in here. And the top, center, bottom here, yeah, you're just cocooned in soft touch materials everywhere. And this physical buttons that's present in the car here almost has Audi levels of tactileness. Now, what the Chinese brands have offered is really premium technology, with your big screen, fancy ambient lighting, all that gizmos. However, Mazda also has that sort of cars in their lineup of models, which is in their flagship EV, the Mazda EZ6. However, here, notice that the CX-60 is really meant for the US, North American, Oceania markets, and those markets still prefer this sort of traditional cabin layout. I love that everything is just laid out so straightforwardly. The climate control buttons over here, this rotary knob for the centered screen because it's not touch sensitive, so everything has to be operated via this rotary knob right here. And you get 2 memory functions that recalls not only the seats but also the powered steering wheel. Yeah, the power adjustment for the steering wheel, and that comes with comfort access as well. Now, to cycle through the different information over to the center screen here, you press the info button on the left spoke of the steering wheel, and it's quite easy. However, storage spaces in here is again still quite limited. You're unable to fit a large size water bottle over to the side door bins, and the center storage here is quite shallow. Over to the passenger side, there's 8-way power adjustment, including height adjustment, which is rare for a car of this segment. Glove box is a conventional latch, and the main storage spaces are actually over to the center console here, which again, it's quite limited for the passenger. And over to the door cards here, there's no cubby hole for you to place your phone or loose items over here. Now, if to charge up your devices, there's a wireless charging tray, 2 USB Type-C ports over in the center armrest here, or you can run 2 Type-C cables from the rear. And the vanity mirror has soft LED lighting. Despite the longer wheelbase of 2,870mm, this does not directly translate to rear legroom. I have the front seat adjusted to my usual driving position, and I'm 175 cm tall. I have about 2 tennis balls worth of knee room inside the CX-60. However, I need to compliment that the thigh and back support is really satisfying, so on long distance drives you'll be very, very well supported. And the rear bench also has 1-step recline for a more comfortable seating posture, and the center armrest here. Okay, so amenities that you get in here, because this one here is a rear-wheel drive platform, so you get a slight hump in the center tunnel right here, so the middle passengers will have to make way on both ends, but it's not overly intrusive like some other cars. Overall, I wish that the rear bench would recline a little bit further so that I get a much more relaxed sitting posture. And parents with children will be happy to know that you're able to safely strap your kids in over to the 2 outer seats here with isofix mounting points. This is not Mazda's first attempt at rear-wheel drive cars. There was the RX-7, RX-8, MX-5. If you remember the Mazda MPV 323-626 from the 70s. But this is the first time they've made a rear-wheel drive this big. Key benefits to a longitudinal engine layout and rear-wheel drive platform are lower center of gravity, more engaging steering feel. But Mazda's goal was not to create a sports SUV. This one, rather, it's more of an evolution of their Jinba Itai driving philosophy. A car that's more engaging, more intuitive, and more responsive to inputs, especially in a car this size, means that it listens to inputs a lot smoother, a lot better, which results in a more relaxed driving experience, especially after you arrive at your destination. And it shows in the CX-60 from the engine, transmission, accelerator, braking, suspension. The only adjective I can use to describe the CX-60 is fluid. Out on the open road, the 2.5-litre natural aspirated Skyactiv G petrol engine and 8-speed automatic transmission is calibrated in a way that is smooth and responsive. Now, many would say that, no turbo, underpowered lah. But if you ask me, that's not quite the case. Mazda has never been about brute force. It has always been about linearity. And this power unit works in tandem with the chassis, giving you maximum predictability and control. Now, do I expect to have more power? Not really. Throughout my drive, I felt connected with the CX-60. The engine and transmission responds exactly to how I expect it to be. And that is very important because it gives me better control while on the highway, while around corners, driving the CX-60 in a large SUV like this. Did I encounter some situations where I wish it had a little bit more power? Very, very few cases that I wish it had a bit more power. You see, the CX-60 works best when you give very smooth inputs. That's the way the car is meant to be driven, and that's the way you can maximize the car's inherent character as well as potential. Now, after Mazda have completely changed the suspension in the CX-60, the driving experience is just transformed. Now, don't get me wrong, the suspension setup is still on the firmer side of things, but this is more akin to what you get in a GLC and X3. Now, one black magic that Mazda rear-wheel drive cars have is the kinetic posture control, which first debuted in the MX-5 and D3. Now, what it does is that depending on the steering angle, the car's position, it will apply very minimal braking force on the inner wheel to neutralize the posture of the car through the corners. Now, what this means that it's more composed around the bends, the drivers feels more confident around the bends, passengers don't get flung around as much, having a more neutral body sitting posture, and babies will sleep more soundly, especially in the back on the highway. Like any other Mazda, the CX-60 needs to be driven to be understood. It's a car that speaks to the heart and fills up the soul with pure driving pleasure. If you want big screens, big power, big value, big everything, nothing wrong with that. But if you're like me who appreciates the satisfaction of a beautifully driving vehicle, or you're just looking for a viable upgrade for your CX-5, this is it. So the next time you're out comparing other premium SUVs in the 200,000 ringgit price point, remember all the intricate details of the Mazda CX-60 from my video and see how those cars stacks up against this premium rear-wheel drive SUV. My name is Adrian, thanks for watching cDrive, and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more detailed videos like this. Bye-bye.